Welcome to the Self-Made by Design podcast. Without further ado, let's get into it.
The struggle between freedom and security. In 1866, there were 4.5 million newly freed black folks in America. Within the first year of being emancipated, over 1 million died due to starvation, disease, and neglect. A small minority of those newly freed blacks migrated to the North or even to Canada to go on to live free lives. But the majority of black folks went back to plantations and began working as sharecroppers. Fast forward, you know plenty of black professionals, and you yourself might be one who is highly educated, highly skilled, and is capable well beyond your job description, but yet you don't seem to get ahead. Now you know you're capable of way more than you're given credit for, but yet you stay. Why is that? The reality is you have obligations. You have family members depending on you. You have student loans, credit debt, God knows what. But you need this job. Security is what we were sold. You go to school, you get a degree, you get a good job, you work 30 years, you retire and die. But you know you're capable of so much more. You yearn for the freedom and autonomy to create and control your own destiny, to own the outcomes of your labor. But whoever taught you how to be free? Now, you might start a side hustle, or I like to call them startups, but you're still not ready to fully get off the plantation. Why? Because this is the struggle between freedom and security. Fact is, we weren't taught how to be entrepreneurs. In fact, we were taught how to be employees, and even more so, laborers. Maybe you had an aunt, an uncle, or maybe even your parents were entrepreneurs and owned their own businesses. But the goal for them and their generation was security. So they taught you to go and get a good education, get a good job, so that you wouldn't have to worry about where your next meal was coming from. So the question I then ask is, how are we teaching the next generation how to be free? Keep your hats on. If you're going to do this work, you're going to get this work.
A growing divide between the left and the right is the question of whether security or freedom is of higher value. The left tends to value security more, where the right tends to place more emphasis on freedom. So which is better, security or freedom? The truth is that society only runs when you find a balance between the two. Without freedom, you fall into authoritarianism, but without security, you fall into anarchy. However, you have to place more emphasis on freedom, because with freedom, you can create security at the individual level for yourself. If you rely too much on security, you aren't going to have much freedom at all, and you end up in a prison type situation. The problem with sacrificing freedom for security is that it depends on the goodwill and wisdom of others who are self-interested to decide what is secure for you, which in itself is not very secure. Freedom means we have the ability to make mistakes, but that in itself is what gives life meaning.
So, Benjamin Franklin's infamous quote, "If you value safety over freedom, you don't deserve either." This is actually an idiotic quote. So anyone who lives in a civilized society like yourself, lives in a society of laws, sacrifices liberty and freedom in order to live safely. So this is the difference between what Hobbes would call the state of nature and living in a civilized society. We all give up our liberties all the time, every day, in order to be safe. This is why you're not allowed to go and take your neighbor's stuff. This is why you're not allowed to punch someone in the face. This is why you're not allowed to lie to a court. These are all freedoms that have been taken away from you. And the reason they've been taken away from you is so we can live in a safe society. So this often misused quote was idiotic when it was made, and it's being badly misused by you yourself here, sir. So if you really believe that, go and live in the woods by yourself, then you'll be free.
Japan back in the day was a closed society. There was no outside interference. Any foreign visitors were kindly turned away, and if they didn't listen, they were shot at. They didn't want outside influence on their cultures and traditions. They did this for the safety of their society, but this also reduced the freedom of the people. If you have ever been in a relationship with someone who cannot handle conflict, you'll soon realize that your freedom of speech and actions will infringe on their desire to be safe or to feel safe. When the desire to feel safe outweighs the desire to be free, the person who wants safety more will almost always infringe on the freedom of their partner. A strong desire for safety breeds insecurities. A partner that calls you every hour to check on you, they're not doing this to annoy you. They're doing this because they have a desire to feel safe. But their lack of self-control within themselves prevents them from having that urge to call you every hour. It is difficult to be in such a relationship. But if you've ever been in one of these relationships, you realize that for them to have safety, you would have to sacrifice some of your freedom in order for them to have that. One partner might be more open to having free speech or debates, while the other sees debates as conflicts or arguments. In order for both partners to get along, two things would have to happen. One partner has to cut back on the free speech to make the other partner feel safe. And two, the other partner might have to give up a little bit of that desire to feel safe in order to give you more free speech and communication. There is always a push and pull when it comes to freedom and safety. It is hard to balance both of them, but getting it as close as possible to becoming balanced is the key to having freedom and safety coexist, therefore having a peaceful relationship.
This country with its institutions belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it or their revolutionary right to overthrow it.
It's very interesting. Do you think we have the right to overthrow the government?
Well, I thought we could discuss it.
We will discuss that after school.
I can't.
If you want another detention for tomorrow, just keep it up.
You expect me to sit there and say yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and may I go to
Those
the boys'
are the
room, sir?
rules, and you think you're too smart to play by the rules. But if you were really smart, you'd sit in your seat and think your own thoughts and act well-adjusted and all that.
Why?
To get them on your side. Anyhow, it's better to have them on your side.
Why?
Because the whole thing is nothing but a game, that's why. And you have to play by their rules.
Meet in 3 more moves.
How did you finish so fast?
It was easy. I crafted up here and I combined terms down here.
You can't do it that way.
I just checked, so it has to be right.
But you didn't follow process.
I know, but I figured.
I know, I can see what you've done, but you can't do it that way.
Why not?
Well, A, you haven't learned that procedure yet.
Yes, but I figured.
And B, there are 2 ways to do things in this class. My way and the wrong way.
But I got the right answer.
My way and the wrong way.
You see, I am a loner and should learn to participate. But I loathe being in a group because they have a tendency to crowd me out, as I disagree on things in a way which seems offensive to them. So I have gotten checks on self-discipline, respect for others, and in participation. Is it always going to be like this?
One way or another, somebody's going to always tell you to sit down, shut up, or get out.
What shall I do?
What do you have to do?
Sit down. I will stand up to you. Shut up. I will speak out. Or get out. I will live my life my way. I would rather lose on my own terms than win on yours, like all the others who were different.